I have a friend who is afraid of spiders. Now, that's not very unusual, lots of people are. Personally, I'm not a big fan of spiders either. I don't mind them if they're outside in the garden, especially if they're small. But if one comes inside the house, especially those big ones with furry legs and creepy little red eyes, I get grossed out. I try to get rid of them as quickly as possible. Usually, I use a broom. But if I'm feeling particularly brave, I'll trap it with a glass, slide a piece of paper underneath, and take it outside. That's fairly normal, right? But my friend's fear of spiders goes far beyond normal. She isn't just afraid of them, she's absolutely, completely, and utterly terrified. When she sees a spider, she doesn't just shudder or call someone else to handle it. No, she lets out a scream so loud the neighbors start to worry, and sometimes even consider calling the police. Her body shivers uncontrollably, and sometimes she even freezes up completely, unable to move. On a few occasions, she has actually fainted. Then, something surprising happened. We were having coffee last week when she looked at me with a grin and said, "Guess what?" "What?" I replied. "I've got a new pet." "Nice. What is it, a dog? A cat?" "No." "A rabbit? A budgie?" "Nope. I got a pet spider." I nearly choked. "I don't believe it's true," she said. I finally decided to do something about my phobia. So I went to see a psychiatrist who specializes in treating irrational fears. The psychiatrist diagnosed her with arachnophobia, an intense, irrational fear of spiders. He told her that about 1 in 50 people suffer from a severe form of it, so she wasn't alone. "That's comforting, I guess," she said, though it didn't seem to make her feel much better. He explained several methods of treatment. First was traditional analysis, which involves a lot of talking, digging deep into her childhood to find the root of her fear. That sounded pretty overwhelming. He warned that it could take years and might not even work. The second method was hypnosis, but she didn't like the idea of someone poking around in her subconscious. What if weird stuff comes out? She joked nervously. Then the psychiatrist mentioned the behavioral approach. "What's that?" she asked. "It's a step-by-step process where you face your fear in small, controlled doses." He pulled a plastic spider from his desk. It wasn't even real, but she screamed the moment she saw it. "Don't worry," he said gently. "It's fake." "I know," she replied, "but it still scares me." "A serious case," he muttered. He placed the rubber spider on the desk and asked her to touch it. That request triggered another scream, but eventually she managed to touch it just for a second, and, although she shivered, she survived. "That's it for today," he said. "Come back tomorrow." She returned the next day. This time, she held the plastic spider for 5 minutes. The day after, it was on her chair, and she had to move it to sit down. The next day, she held it in her hand while sitting. Slowly but surely, things progressed. Eventually, he asked her to take the spider home. "Where do spiders usually show up?" he asked. "In the bath," she said. "Put the spider in the bath." It was terrifying, but she managed to face it without screaming. Next, he told her to put the spider in the living room on top of the TV. At first, she imagined it was watching her, but she kept reminding herself it was only plastic. Then came the toughest challenge yet, putting it in her bed. "No way," she protested. "Why not? It's not real." She sighed, realizing he was right. That night, she slept with the plastic spider in bed. She was a little scared, but nothing like before. The next day, when she visited the psychiatrist, there was a surprise waiting for her. Sitting on the desk was a real spider. She almost screamed and ran, but instead, she sat on the far end of the room for 5 minutes before leaving. "See you tomorrow," he called after her. The next day, the spider was back. She stayed 10 minutes. The day after that, 15. Slowly, she got used to it. Eventually, the psychiatrist picked up the real spider and held it in his hand. "Touch it," he said. "No way." "Yes way." After much coaxing, she touched it just for a second. The next day, a few more seconds, then minutes. Eventually, she was holding the spider herself. Then she brought it home. She let it crawl around, and even though she was still a little nervous, the fear was almost gone. "So now I've got a pet spider," she told me proudly. "Well done," I said. But then, just as I was about to congratulate her again, I saw her shiver. Suddenly, she screamed and jumped up onto the chair, pointing at the floor. "Over there," she yelled. "What? Another spider?" "No," she said. "Why, it's a beetle."